what price for love? What if that price could reshape kingdoms, launch wars, or define the destiny of an entire dynasty? In the Middle Ages, from roughly the 11th to the 14th centuries, a dowry was not just a gift. It was a weapon, a declaration, a foundation of power. Prepare to be astounded by the sheer audacity of wealth exchanged in the name of matrimony. Number 7. The Mountain of Starlight and Shadow. The mid-13th century found the kingdom of Aragon in a state of careful expansion, its gaze fixed across the Mediterranean. King James I, known as the Conqueror, had already cemented his legacy through daring military campaigns, but his ambition was insatiable, his vision stretching far beyond the Iberian Peninsula. He sought not merely alliances, but a true binding with the powerful maritime republics of Italy, specifically the mercantile giants of Genoa. It was a strategic marriage, therefore, that captured his attention. The union of his youngest daughter, Princess Yolande, a woman known for her keen intellect and quiet resolve, with Niccolò Doria, the eldest son of the formidable Doria family, one of Genoa's most ancient and powerful houses. The Doria were not merely wealthy. They commanded fleets, controlled vast trade networks that stretched from the Levant to the Atlantic, and possessed influence that rivaled kings. They were masters of the sea, and Aragon, with its burgeoning naval ambitions, saw immense value in such a connection. However, the Doria were astute negotiators, and their demands for the dowry were nothing short of breathtaking. They did not simply ask for coin or land. They demanded something that spoke to the very soul of their maritime power and their hunger for exotic, unassailable resources. Proposal landed in the court of Aragon like a thunderclap. The Doria family, through their shrewd emissaries, requested not gold, not jewels, not even entire vineyards, but instead a collection of assets so peculiar and so immense that it sent murmurs through every noble house. They demanded a significant portion of the newly discovered quicksilver mines in the Pyrenees, along with the exclusive rights to its extraction and export for a period of 50 years. This alone was staggering. Quicksilver, or mercury, was vital for refining gold and silver, for medicine, for alchemy, and for the creation of pigments. It was a resource of immense strategic and economic importance, a truly liquid asset, so to speak, that could reshape trade balances. But that was only the beginning. The Doria then stipulated that along with the quicksilver mines, Princess Yolande's dowry must also include a fleet of 20 fully armed galleys, custom-built in the shipyards of Valencia, each capable of long voyages and equipped with the latest navigational instruments. These were not old decommissioned vessels. These were to be the finest ships Aragon could produce, crewed and ready for immediate deployment under Doria command. Cost of such a fleet was astronomical, a drain on royal coffers that would require years of careful budgeting. And then came the truly outlandish demand, the one that truly defined the craziness of this dowry. The Doria, with an eye towards not just material wealth, but also symbolic power and perhaps a touch of theatrical flourish, insisted on the inclusion of 100 trained falconers each, with 2 fully trained gyrfalcons, the magnificent white birds of prey prized above all others for their hunting prowess and beauty. These falcons were to be sourced from the most remote and dangerous northern lands, hardy and fierce, each a testament to meticulous training and vast expense. Procurement of such a number of top-tier falcons and the recruitment of their dedicated trainers was an undertaking of epic proportions, requiring expeditions into distant, untamed territories, considerable risk, and unimaginable expense. It spoke of a desire not just for wealth, but for luxury, for status, and for a symbol of untamed power. The Aragonese court initially balked. Quicksilver mines were a nascent source of immense future revenue, the fleet a crippling expenditure, and the gyrfalcons a demand bordering on the absurd. Yet the strategic benefits of an alliance with the Doria were too compelling to ignore. The Genoese could provide naval protection, access to crucial trade routes, and a powerful ally against potential rivals in the Mediterranean. After weeks of intense negotiation, where emissaries exchanged heated words and subtle threats, King James I, a pragmatist at heart, reluctantly agreed to the terms. The future of his kingdom, he reasoned, lay in securing such an unassailable maritime link. Preparations for the dowry were a spectacle in themselves. Royal engineers and miners descended upon the quicksilver veins in the Pyrenees, establishing new operations and ensuring a steady supply for the Doria. Shipwrights in Valencia worked day and night, their hammers echoing across the docks, as the 20 galleys began to take shape, their timbers gleaming under the Mediterranean sun. Each ship was a masterpiece of naval architecture, a testament to Aragonese skill and the falconers. Teams were dispatched north into the cold, harsh lands, risking life and limb to capture and train the elusive gyrfalcons. Their return, months later, with dozens of the majestic birds, each perched on a gloved arm, was met with awe. Cost of their expeditions, the care and feeding of the birds, the wages of the skilled trainers, it was a sum that could have funded a small war. The wedding itself, held in the Grand Cathedral of Barcelona, was a study in contrasts. Princess Yolande, adorned in silks and jewels, moved with a quiet dignity, her fate now inextricably linked to this extraordinary exchange. Niccolò Doria, a man of stern countenance and shrewd eyes, accepted his bride and her unparalleled dowry with a calm satisfaction that bordered on triumphal. Quicksilver mines, the formidable fleet, the 100 noble gyrfalcons, each element of the dowry was meticulously documented, witnessed and sealed with royal and mercantile seals. The immediate impact of the dowry was palpable. The Doria family's power surged. Their control over quicksilver gave them an unparalleled advantage in trade and finance across Europe. The new galleys instantly boosted their naval capabilities, allowing them to project power further and protect their vast merchant convoys with renewed vigor. The sight of Doria ships bearing the Aragonese royal standard alongside their own became a common sight in Mediterranean ports. The 100 gyrfalcons, meanwhile, became a symbol of Doria opulence and influence, their keen eyes and powerful wings a stark reminder of the family's reach, their hunting parties becoming legendary displays of wealth and skill. For Aragon, the alliance brought stability and opened new avenues for trade, but it also meant a tangible sacrifice, a relinquishing of precious resources, and a significant portion of its naval might to a foreign power, all for the sake of a strategic bond, the mountain of Starlight and Shadow, as some began to call the quicksilver wealth, truly shifted the balance of power in the Mediterranean, all in the name of a princess's dowry. Number 6. The Living Tapestry of the Orient. In the year 1202, the Byzantine Empire, though still magnificent, was a shadow of its former self, its once unassailable walls now showing cracks, its treasury often strained by constant wars and political intrigues. Emperor Alexios III Angelos sought to shore up his empire's prestige and power through strategic alliances, especially with the growing strength of the Western European Crusader states. His daughter, the ethereal Princess Eudokia Angelina, was therefore a pawn in a diplomatic game of the highest stakes. Her hand was offered to Boniface of Montferrat, a powerful Italian nobleman and one of the key leaders of the Fourth Crusade, a man whose ambition was as keen as his sword. Boniface, though ostensibly leading a holy war, was also a shrewd politician, eyeing the wealth and influence of Constantinople. He demanded a dowry that would not merely secure his financial future, but would also serve as a profound symbol of imperial submission and access to the legendary riches of the East. His demands were relayed through a retinue of stern, unyielding knights, and they caused a profound shock in the imperial palace of Blackhearne. The dowry began conventionally enough: a sum of 50,000 gold hyperpyra, a vast fortune in any era, enough to finance small armies or build entire districts. But this was merely the foundation. Boniface then requested a complete functioning Byzantine war galley, fully manned by a crew of 150 experienced Greek sailors, all sworn to his service for a period of 5 years. This was an unprecedented demand. Imperial warships and their skilled crews were the very sinews of Byzantine power, never to be given away lightly. It spoke of a desire to directly tap into Constantinople's naval might, rather than just receive a monetary equivalent. Yet, these demands, staggering as they were, paled in comparison to the true heart of Boniface's request, the element that earned this dowry, its legendary status, a living tapestry. This was not a woven cloth, but rather a collection of the rarest and most exotic living creatures from across the vast reaches of the Byzantine Empire and beyond. Meticulously assembled and presented, it was to include 100 white peacocks, symbols of immortality and imperial splendor, sourced from the imperial aviaries and carefully bred for their pristine plumage. Each bird was to be accompanied by a dedicated handler, 50 trained cheetahs, imported from the distant lands of Persia and beyond, renowned for their speed and grace in hunting, each a testament to meticulous training and immense expense. They were to be delivered with their own stable of expert trainers and enough fine silks to serve as their hunting leashes. 20 purebred Arabian horses known for their endurance, beauty, and spirited nature, each adorned with silver tack and velvet blankets woven with imperial insignia. These horses were considered the finest mounts in the world, often reserved solely for the emperor himself. 10 pairs of exotic parrots, their feathers blazing with colors unseen in the West, capable of mimicking human speech, acquired through perilous expeditions into the farthest reaches of the Silk Road and the Spice Islands. A menagerie of rare and unusual animals, including a fully grown lion, a pair of graceful gazelles, and a majestic rare snow leopard, captured from the remote mountains and accompanied by their dedicated keepers, all trained to present them for imperial pleasure. The logic behind this living tapestry was clear. Boniface sought not just wealth, but the tangible display of Constantinople's dominion over the exotic and the extraordinary, a living demonstration of the Byzantine Empire's reach and its profound connection to the distant fabled lands of the East. It was a demand designed to elevate his own status, to demonstrate his bride's imperial provenance, and to bring a slice of the mythical Orient to his Western European domains. The imperial court was thrown into disarray. To part with a war galley was a profound strategic loss, but to assemble such a menagerie of living creatures was an organizational nightmare and an almost unimaginable expense. Hunters were dispatched to distant plains and mountains. Traders were sent to the deepest bazaars of the East, and trainers were summoned from across the empire. The logistics of capturing, transporting, and maintaining such a diverse collection of wild and exotic beasts, along with their specialized handlers and vast quantities of appropriate food, was a Herculean task. Cost of their feed alone, especially for the large predators and the delicate parrots, was astronomical. The arrival of the dowry procession in Venice, where the Crusader fleet awaited, was an event that captivated all who witnessed it. The war galley, sails unfurled, glided into the lagoon, its gilded stern shining in the sun, a testament to imperial craftsmanship. Behind it, a flotilla of specially designed barges carried the living tapestry, cages of squawking parrots, enclosures containing the majestic lions and graceful gazelles, stables for the Arabian horses, and the magnificent preening peacocks fanning their tails. The sight of the cheetahs, sleek and powerful, being led on leashes by their dark-skinned handlers drew gasps of astonishment. It was a procession unlike any seen in Western Europe, a vibrant, breathing testament to the riches and wonders of Byzantium. Princess Eudokia, though herself a silent figure in this grand display, brought with her a dowry that transformed Boniface of Montferrat from a powerful nobleman into a lord of truly imperial pretensions. The Byzantine war galley served his naval ambitions, and the living tapestry became the centerpiece of his court, a constant source of wonder and a potent symbol of his new status. The rare animals, particularly the cheetahs and the snow leopard, became legendary, displayed at grand feasts and used for hunting expeditions that became the talk of the age. For Boniface, the dowry secured not just wealth and prestige, but a tangible breathing connection to the exotic and fabled East, a true living tapestry woven from the very essence of the Byzantine Empire. Number 5. The unfurling of the dragon's banner. The year is 1356, and the 100 Years' War grinds on, draining the treasuries and lives of England and France. Edward III of England, despite his victories, sought to solidify his continental gains and secure his dynasty through strategic marriages that would bind powerful allies to his cause. His eye fell upon the Duchy of Brittany, a crucial territory on the western flank of France, often caught between the warring powers. To secure this prize, he proposed the marriage of his spirited granddaughter, Princess Joanna of Kent, a woman known for her keen wit and striking beauty, to John V, Duke of Brittany, a young, ambitious, and somewhat rebellious vassal of the French crown. Brittany, though nominally French, was a fiercely independent duchy, and its duke was a key figure in the complex tapestry of allegiances. Edward III understood that a conventional dowry of lands or gold, while substantial, might not be enough to truly sway the duke from his shifting loyalties. He needed something that spoke to the duke's martial pride, his desire for military supremacy, and his deep-seated connection to the ancient, often mythical lore of his land. The dowry Edward proposed was, therefore, not merely grand, it was legendary. English delegation arrived in Rennes with an offer that stunned the Breton court. First, it included a staggering sum of 100,000 gold florins, enough to equip and provision a sizable army for years. This was an undeniable show of wealth. Second, it offered the complete remission of all feudal obligations and debts owed by the Duchy of Brittany to the English crown for a period of 30 years, a financial freedom that would allow the Duke to invest heavily in his own forces and infrastructure without fear of English demands. These were just the prelude to the true centerpiece of the dowry, an item so outlandish and potent that it became the stuff of bard songs. An entirely equipped and provisioned English longbow company of 500 elite archers, each a master of the dreaded English longbow, all sworn to the direct service of Duke John V for a period of 10 years. These were not mercenaries. These were hand-picked veterans of Crécy and Poitiers, men whose arrows had shattered French chivalry, their loyalty to the Duke sealed by royal English decree, and a generous annual stipend paid directly from the English treasury. The inclusion of such a formidable elite fighting force directly at the Duke's command was an unprecedented transfer of military power. It was a direct, living asset that guaranteed the Duke a significant advantage in any future conflict, whether against French overlords or rebellious local lords. Yet, even this incredible gift of a living, breathing army was overshadowed by the final, most mythical component of the dowry, the one that resonated deepest with Breton pride and lore, the legendary dragon's banner of King Arthur. This was not just a banner. It was presented as the genuine, ancient war standard of the mythical King Arthur himself, said to have flown over the battles of Camelot. While its true provenance was highly debatable, the English presented it with such solemnity and accompanying ancient texts and seals that its symbolic power was undeniable. It was crafted from the finest purple silk, embroidered with threads of pure gold and silver, depicting a magnificent roaring dragon. It was enshrined within a casket of polished oak, bound with iron bands, and accompanied by a retinue of specially selected English monks and chroniclers who recited its supposed history and the blessings it carried for any who fought beneath its weave. The dragon's banner was not merely a piece of cloth. It was a potent symbol of legitimacy, ancient kingship, and mythical power, a direct link to the heroic past that the Breton dukes so often sought to claim. Its unfurling would be a statement, a rallying cry, that spoke to the deep well of ancient Celtic and Arthurian legends in Brittany. It was a psychological weapon, a piece of living history, a tangible connection to a legendary past, designed to inspire awe and loyalty among the Duke's own people and fear among his enemies. The Breton court was awestruck. The sheer financial muscle displayed the liberation from debt, and the gift of an elite longbow company were strategic masterstrokes. But the dragon's banner struck a deeper chord. John V, a man who prided himself on his lineage and his connection to the ancient kings of Brittany, saw in this banner not just a gift, but a validation of his own aspirations, a mystical weapon that could galvanize his duchy. The preparations were immense. The 500 longbowmen were gathered, their bows meticulously checked, their quivers filled with arrows. Their training was legendary, and their reputation preceded them. They were drilled in their new allegiance, their paymasters now the Duke of Brittany, their ultimate loyalty, however, still subtly tied to the English crown by their origins. The dragon's banner was escorted with reverence, a full company of English knights guarding its journey across the Channel and through France, its presence heralded by excited whispers. The wedding held in the Grand Hall of the Château de Nantes was a political triumph for England. Princess Joanna, graceful and composed, became the Duchess of Brittany, but her true dowry, the one that resonated through the duchy, was the powerful longbow company and the legendary dragon's banner. The longbowmen immediately became the backbone of the Duke's forces, their disciplined volley fire turning the tide in several skirmishes against rebellious nobles and French incursions. The dragon's banner, unfurled for the first time during a major ducal review, sent a ripple of excitement and ancient pride through the Breton ranks. It became a sacred relic, carried into battle, a source of inspiration and a potent symbol of ducal authority in the duchy's newfound powerful alliance. The unfurling of the dragon's banner, whether truly Arthurian or a brilliant piece of English propaganda, solidified Brittany's position and reshaped the balance of power in the ongoing war, all because of a princess's dowry. Number 4. The City of Spices and Secrets. The mid-12th century was a time of burgeoning trade and fierce competition among the Italian maritime republics. Venice, Genoa, and Pisa vied for supremacy in the Mediterranean, their merchant fleets traversing perilous seas to bring back the riches of the East. In this intricate web of commerce and power, the city of Venice sought to secure its dominance. Domenico Morosini, a man of shrewd intellect and boundless ambition, eyed the wealthy port of Ragusa, modern-day Dubrovnik, nestled on the Adriatic coast. Ragusa, though smaller, was a crucial trading hub, a gateway to the Balkan hinterland, and a potential rival to Venetian hegemony. To bring Ragusa firmly into the Venetian sphere of influence, the Doge conceived of a masterstroke: the marriage of his only daughter, the fiercely intelligent and independently minded Isabella Morosini, to the young Haddock Ragusan patrician, Matteo Gondola, heir to one of Ragusa's most powerful merchant families. This marriage was designed to be more than a mere alliance. It was to be an absorption, a binding of two mercantile destinies. The dowry for Isabella was therefore unlike any seen before, a testament not just to Venetian wealth, but to its strategic vision. The Venetian emissaries arrived in Ragusa not with chests of gold or deeds to land, but with a proposal so audacious it initially drew gasps of disbelief. The dowry began with a concession of maritime rights, the exclusive right for Ragusan ships to trade, duty-free, in all Venetian ports for a period of 25 years. This alone was a staggering economic boon, essentially granting Ragusa unfettered access to Venice's vast trade network, a direct threat to any other competitor. Next, Venice pledged to construct at its own expense a new fortified harbor for Ragusa, complete with advanced docks, warehouses, and protective sea walls. This was not merely a gift of infrastructure. It was a physical manifestation of Venetian naval engineering prowess, designed to integrate Ragusa's defenses and facilitate its expansion under Venetian guidance. Cost of such a project, involving hundreds of skilled laborers and vast quantities of stone and timber, was immense, a direct investment in a foreign port, designed to make it an indispensable satellite. But the true heart of the dowry, the element that made it both legendary and controversial, was the City of Spices and Secrets. This was not a real city, but a meticulously corroded collection of resources and intelligence designed to give Ragusa, and by extension Venice, an unparalleled advantage in the spice trade it included. Complete, detailed trade routes for the most lucrative and secretive spice networks, stretching from Venice to Alexandria, and from there to the furthest reaches of India and the Far East. These were not just maps, but detailed logs of shipping schedules, safe havens, preferred suppliers, and even known pirate haunts collected over generations by Venetian merchants. This was commercial intelligence of the highest order, fiercely guarded by all merchant houses. The exclusive rights to purchase, at preferential rates, 500 bales of the finest black pepper, 200 bales of rare cinnamon, and 100 bales of exotic nutmeg and cloves directly from Venetian warehouses for a period of 10 years. These were not just goods. These were guaranteed quantities of the most coveted commodities, enough to corner significant portions of the European spice market. A fully trained corps of 50 Venetian master navigators and cartographers, each with years of experience sailing the treacherous eastern seas, sworn to teach their skills and share their knowledge with Ragusan sailors for a period of 3 years. These were the intellectual backbone of Venetian maritime supremacy, their knowledge painstakingly acquired and zealously protected. The designs and specifications for the latest Venetian trading galleys, including details on their hull construction, sail plans, and cargo capacity, allowing Ragusa to approach Venice's cutting-edge shipbuilding technology. This dowry was an unprecedented transfer of economic power, strategic knowledge, and commercial advantage. It was a calculated move to bind Ragusa so tightly to Venice that its prosperity would become wholly dependent on the Venetian connection, effectively turning a potential rival into a vital economic satellite. The Ragusan patricians, though initially wary of such a grand gesture, quickly understood the immense, almost overwhelming value of such a dowry. It promised untold riches and an undeniable leap in their mercantile power. Preparations for the dowry were a marvel of logistical coordination. Venetian cartographers meticulously copied their most precious maps and trade logs, their hands moving with care over generations of accumulated data. Shipwrights and engineers descended upon Ragusa, breaking ground on the new harbor, its foundations laid with Venetian precision. The spices, aromatic and valuable, were carefully packaged in vast quantities, ready for shipment. The master navigators, bound by strict oaths, prepared to transfer their hard-won knowledge to a new generation of Ragusan sailors. The wedding of Isabella Morosini and Matteo Gondola was a grand affair held on the sun-drenched shores of Ragusa. Isabella, a vision in silks, exchanged vows with Matteo, whose eyes gleamed with the prospect of his city's future. The dowry presented not as physical chests, but as scrolls of parchment, detailed agreements, and the very presence of Venetian engineers and navigators represented a shift in the Adriatic power balance. The duty, free access, the fortified harbor, and the city of spices and secrets immediately transformed Ragusa. Its trade flourished, its ships built to Venetian specifications became faster and more efficient, and its merchants, armed with Venetian knowledge, became formidable competitors in the spice trade. Venice had not just given a dowry, it had gifted a blueprint for prosperity, ensuring that Ragusa's success was inextricably linked to its own. A truly crazy dowry that redefined an entire region's economic landscape. Number 3. The Relic and the Raven's Flight. In the late 10th century, the fledgling kingdom of Denmark, under the ambitious King Svein Forkbeard, sought to expand its influence beyond the stormy North Sea. While often associated with raids and plunder, Sweyn was also a pragmatic ruler who understood the power of alliances. His gaze turned to the east, to the emerging Russ's principalities, specifically the wealthy and strategically important Principality of Novgorod. To forge a lasting bond, he proposed the marriage of his daughter, the spirited and fiercely independent Princess Thyra, to the young, promising Prince Yaroslav, son of the Grand Prince Vladimir the Great of Kiev and future ruler of Novgorod. The Russ's princes were known for their vast furs timber and the silver flowing from their eastern trade routes, but they also prized ancient relics and symbols of power, particularly those with a Christian or legendary provenance. Sweyn, a recent convert himself, understood this. He also knew that to truly impress the Rus, he needed to offer something that transcended mere material wealth, something that spoke to their spiritual and martial sensibilities. The dowry he proposed for Princess Thyra was a testament to this understanding, a blend of immense wealth, unique military assets, and a truly extraordinary spiritual paypot. The Danish envoys, a mix of seasoned warriors and astute merchants, arrived in Novgorod with an offer that was both astounding and deeply resonant. The initial components were substantial: a payment of 20,000 pounds of silver, enough to mint a new coinage for the principality, and a gift of 50 fully equipped longships, each capable of carrying 100 warriors, freshly built in the shipyards of Roskilde. These were not just vessels. These were the very tools of Viking power, capable of projecting influence across the vast river networks of the Russ's lands and across the Baltic Sea. The true craziness of this dowry lay in its remaining two components, one military and one spiritual, both designed to bind the Russ's prince irrevocably to Danish strength and legitimacy. First, Sweyn offered a personal bodyguard of 100 berserkers, elite warriors from the most fearsome northern tribes, each sworn by ancient oaths to serve Prince Yaroslav directly for the duration of his reign. These were not common soldiers. These were legendary fighters, known for their uncontrollable ferocity in battle, their immunity to pain, and their devotion to their chosen lord. To acquire such a retinue was almost unheard of. These were men whose loyalty was won through respect and an understanding of their unique, almost mystical warrior code. Their inclusion in the dowry was a direct transfer of a living, breathing, terrifying military asset, capable of striking fear into any enemy. Yet, the final component of the dowry dwarfed even the berserkers in its symbolic and spiritual weight. The Raven's Flight purported to be the actual preserved battle standard of the legendary Viking chieftain Ragnar Lothbrok. This was no ordinary banner. It was a deeply sacred and ancient relic, a large rectangular piece of finely woven wool dyed dark blue with a raven embroidered in black silk. Legend held that this banner possessed a magical property. If victory was imminent, the raven would appear to flap its wings, but if defeat was at hand, it would hang motionless. While the veracity of its origins was a matter of fervent debate among chroniclers, its power as a symbol among the Norse and their spiritual descendants was undeniable. It represented martial glory, divine favor, and an unbroken line to the most fearsome warriors of old. The Russ's court was captivating. The silver and the longships were of immense practical value, instantly bolstering Yaroslav's treasury and naval power. The berserkers, with their reputation for unshakable ferocity, were a potent addition to his personal guard, a terrifying display of his newfound influence. But the Raven's Flight touched a deeper chord. It was a tangible link to the revered ancestors, a source of profound spiritual legitimacy, a symbol that could inspire awe and loyalty among his own Norse-descended warriors and strike dread into his pagan and Christian rivals alike. The idea of possessing a relic of such mythic proportions was a profound statement of power and prestige. The preparations for the dowry were shrouded in a mix of military precision and ancient ritual. The longships were built with expert craftsmanship, their dragon prows gleaming in the Nordic sun. The berserkers were gathered from their scattered settlements, their wild loyalty pledged through solemn ceremonies. The Raven's Flight, carefully preserved and guarded by a retinue of Danish priests and skalds, was prepared for its long journey east. Transfer was handled with utmost reverence, a silent procession that moved across the landscape. The wedding ceremony held in a newly consecrated wooden church in Novgorod blended Norse tradition with Orthodox ritual. Princess Thyra, dressed in rich furs and embroidered silks, brought not just herself, but a dowry that profoundly reshaped the young Russ's principality. Prince Yaroslav's powers surged. The longships allowed him to control the vast river systems, expanding his trading routes and projecting his military might. The berserkers formed an unbreachable wall around him, their terrifying presence ensuring his safety and striking fear into any who dared oppose him. And the Raven's Flight, unfurled during military campaigns, became a powerful symbol of his lineage and his divine favor, inspiring his troops and demoralizing his enemies. The relic and the Raven's Flight, a testament to King Swen's shrewd understanding of power and belief, truly made this a dowry of legendary proportions, forever altering the course of the Russ's princes and their expanding realm. Number 2. The City Beneath the Waves. The late 11th century saw the Byzantine Empire once again seeking to reassert its influence in a volatile world. Emperor Alexios I Komnenos, a shrewd and pragmatic ruler, faced constant threats from Normans in the west and Seljuk Turks in the east. To bolster his western flank and create a crucial defensive alliance, he looked to the powerful burgeoning Venetian Republic. He proposed a marriage of immense political weight. His niece, the elegant and politically astute Princess Theodora Comnena, to Domenico Contarini, a rising star in one of Venice's most ancient and influential families, and a cousin to the Doge. Venice, ever hungry for commercial advantage, understood the strategic value of such an alliance, but their demands for the dowry were nothing short of extraordinary. They did not just ask for gold or silks, they requested something that spoke to the very soul of Venetian ambition: undisputed control over key maritime resources and territories, designed to cement their naval and commercial supremacy in the Adriatic and Aegean seas. The dowry, whispered about as the city beneath the waves, was unlike any seen before. The Venetian envoys presented their terms in Constantinople, and the imperial court was stunned by their audacity. The dowry began with a staggering sum of 60,000 numismata, a vast fortune in Byzantine gold, and a grant of extensive trading privileges throughout the entire Byzantine Empire, allowing Venetian merchants to operate duty-free in almost every imperial port. This alone was a massive concession, a direct blow to Byzantine imperial revenues, but a massive boom to Venetian trade. But these concessions, immense as they were overshadowed by the truly unique and controversial demands. The dowry was to include complete and absolute sovereignty over the islands of Corfu and Cephalonia in the Ionian Sea, and the rights to establish permanent naval bases and trading posts on the island of Crete. These were not just islands, they were strategic linchpins, controlling crucial shipping lanes and providing critical staging points for naval operations in the Mediterranean. Handing over such territorial control, especially over Corfu, a vital defensive position, was a profound sacrifice for the Byzantine Empire. The exclusive rights to all pearl diving operations in the Aegean Sea, including the transfer of imperial pearl fisheries and their skilled divers for a period of 50 years. The Aegean was renowned for its pearls, a luxury commodity of immense value, and this concession effectively gave Venice a monopoly over this lucrative industry. A fleet of 50 newly built, fully equipped dromons, the powerful Byzantine warship, each manned by a hand-picked crew of 200 skilled imperial sailors, all sworn to serve Venice for a period of 10 years. This was an unprecedented transfer of naval power, providing Venice with a ready-made top-tier war fleet, directly integrating a significant portion of the Byzantine navy into Venetian service. These dromons were to be maintained at Byzantine expense for the first 5 years, a further drain on imperial coffers. And finally, the crowning, most incredible demand, the city beneath the waves itself, the secrets of constructing and operating an advanced underwater siege engine, a device of mythical proportions. This was not a physical object, but rather a blueprint, a series of detailed schematics, and the personal tutelage of the Byzantine imperial engineers who had developed this highly secretive experimental weapon. Legend spoke of a diving bell-like device capable of carrying saboteurs beneath enemy fortifications or disrupting naval defenses from below. Whether it was fully functional or theoretical, the Venetians demanded its complete knowledge, including access to the skilled craftsmen and the rare materials needed for its construction, all kept under strict imperial secrecy. The imperial court was divided. To relinquish so much territorial and economic control, and to transfer such closely guarded naval and engineering secrets, felt like dismantling the empire from within. Yet, the threat from the Normans was dire, and the prospect of a firm Venetian alliance with their formidable navy and burgeoning wealth was too tempting to ignore. After prolonged and heated negotiations, Emperor Alexios I, against the advice of many of his most trusted advisors, reluctantly agreed. The survival of the empire, he rationalized, might depend on this radical sacrifice. Preparations for the dowry were a monumental undertaking. Imperial scribes meticulously copied charts and documents detailing the sovereignty transfer. Pearl divers were transferred, their lives now bound to Venetian masters. Shipyards worked feverishly to produce the 50 dromons, each a testament to Byzantine naval excellence, though destined for foreign service. And the imperial engineers, under strict guard, began to reveal the secrets of the city beneath the waves, their complex schematics and prototypes handled with immense care, their knowledge now transferred to Venetian minds. The process was agonizing for the Byzantines, a feeling of handing over their very sinews of power. The wedding of Princess Theodora and Domenico Contarini, held in the Grand Hagia Sophia, was a solemn affair, overshadowed by the magnitude of the dowry. Theodora, poised and dignified, became the physical embodiment of the imperial concessions. Domenico Contarini, a man of quiet triumph, accepted a dowry that promised to reshape the entire Mediterranean. The islands of Corfu and Cephalonia immediately became Venetian strongholds, their strategic positions enhancing Venice's control over vital shipping lanes. The pearl fisheries filled Venetian coffers with shimmering riches. The dromons, now flying the Lion of St. Mark, significantly bolstered Venice's naval power, allowing them to project power more effectively than ever before. And the secrets of the city beneath the waves became a closely guarded Venetian treasure, pursued with quiet intensity by their engineers, promising a future of unparalleled military advantage. The dowry had not just granted Venice wealth, it had gifted them strategic command of the sea, making it a true power, all thanks to a princess's dowry. Number 1. The Whispers of a Northern Sun. In the early 14th century, the burgeoning Hanseatic League, a powerful confederation of merchant guilds and market towns, held immense economic sway across northern Europe. Its wealth rivaled that of many kingdoms, and its influence stretched from the Baltic to the North Sea. The city of Lübeck, the undisputed Queen of the Hansa, sought to consolidate its power and secure its position against the ambitions of the Scandinavian monarchies. To achieve this, the ruling Council of Lübeck, a shrewd assembly of patricians, envisioned a marriage that would bind a royal house to their commercial might, the union of the beautiful and exceptionally intelligent Katharina Verendorp, daughter of Lübeck's most powerful alderman, to Prince Erik of Norway, heir to a kingdom often struggling with its own finances and internal strife. Prince Erik represented a direct link to royal legitimacy, a potential ally against rival trading powers, and a gateway to the rich resources of Norway. However, the Hanseatic League was not merely interested in titles or land. They sought an unbreakable bond, one that would cement their economic supremacy and grant them unprecedented access to the very heart of the Norwegian kingdom. The dowry proposed for Katharina Rerendorp was, therefore, an audacious display of commercial power, a testament to Lübeck's wealth and its almost arrogant confidence. It was whispered about as the whispers of a northern sun. The Lübeck envoys, a delegation of stern-faced merchants and legal experts, arrived in Oslo with an offer that left the Norwegian court aghast with its sheer scope and unconventional nature. The dowry began with a direct payment of 30,000 marks of pure silver, a fortune that could single-handedly stabilize the Norwegian treasury for years. It also included a grant of exclusive trading rights for all Hanseatic merchants within all Norwegian ports for a period of 50 years, with significantly reduced tariffs on all goods. This was a colossal economic concession, essentially handing over a monopoly on vast swaths of Norwegian trade to the Hanseatic League. Yet these substantial financial and commercial benefits were merely the foundation. True craziness of this dowry lay in its unprecedented demands for control over Norwegian resources and future prosperity, designed to make the Norwegian royal house inextricably reliant on Lübeck. The dowry included the rights to establish and control for a period of 100 years the complete infrastructure of all major Norwegian cod fisheries, from the fishing grounds themselves to the processing, drying, and export facilities. This was not just a share of the profits, this was outright control over Norway's most vital industry, a source of immense wealth and a staple food across Europe. Lübeck would provide the ships, the nets, the processing methods, and the expertise, effectively industrializing and dominating the entire Norwegian fishing economy, all at their own discretion. Personal services of 50 highly skilled Hanseatic shipwrights, carpenters, and master craftsmen, each sworn to serve the Norwegian crown for 20 years, building and maintaining the Norwegian royal fleet, and developing new shipbuilding techniques, all under the guidance of Lübeck's most advanced naval engineers. This was a direct transfer of cutting-edge technology and skilled labor, effectively making Norway's naval development dependent on Hanseatic expertise. A substantial annual shipment of the finest Flemish wool and silk, enough to clothe the entire Norwegian royal court and its extended noble families in luxury for a period of 30 years, ensuring their continued dependence on Hanseatic trade networks for their finery. And finally, the most extraordinary element, the whispers of a northern sun. This was not a tangible object, but rather a vast, systematically compiled network of intelligence and influence that Lübeck had cultivated across Northern Europe. It included detailed ledgers of all major European credit lines and outstanding debts owed by various nobles and kingdoms to Hanseatic banks, granting Norway unparalleled insight into the financial weaknesses of their potential rivals. Complete, up-to-date registry of all significant mercantile patents and trade secrets held by rival trading cities, including specific details on their manufacturing processes, shipping routes, and market strategies. Access to Lübeck's network of highly placed informants and spies across Scandinavia, the Holy Roman Empire, and England, providing Prince Eirik with a continuous stream of actionable political and economic intelligence, often delivered through covert Hanseatic channels. Promise of Lübeck's diplomatic and economic support in any future conflicts, effectively placing the vast financial and commercial power of the Hanseatic League behind a Norwegian throne. The Norwegian court was in a state of shock. To cede such control over their fisheries, their naval development, and their internal and external intelligence felt like surrendering the kingdom's sovereignty. Yet, the prospect of such immediate financial stability, the promise of unlimited access to the wealth and knowledge of the Hanseatic League, and the thought of such comprehensive intelligence on their rivals was undeniably alluring. After intense, protracted negotiations, during which Lübeck's envoys displayed an unshakable resolve, King Haakon V, Prince Eirik's father, reluctantly agreed. Kingdom's future, he believed, might hinge on this unprecedented alliance. The preparations for the dowry were a master class in Hanseatic efficiency. Teams of experts descended upon Norway, mapping the fisheries, establishing new processing plants, and deploying their advanced fishing fleets. Shipwrights arrived, setting up workshops and beginning the long process of transferring their knowledge. The flow of luxurious fabrics began, transforming the appearance of the Norwegian court, and the whispers of a northern sun began to arrive in Oslo. Leather-bound ledgers, coded messages, and the discreet visits of Lübeck's most trusted agents, providing Prince Erik with a constant stream of vital information. The wedding of Katharina Rarendorp and Prince Erik, held in the ancient Nidaros Cathedral, was a momentous occasion, symbolizing the true shift in power. Katharina, though a merchant's daughter, carried a dowry that reshaped an entire kingdom. Prince Erik's treasuries swelled, and his court grew more opulent. The Norwegian fisheries, under Hanseatic management, became incredibly productive, filling the royal coffers with previously unimagined wealth. The Norwegian fleet, built and maintained with Lübeck expertise, became a force to be reckoned with, and the whispers of a northern sun provided Prince Erik with an unparalleled advantage in statecraft, allowing him to navigate the treacherous political waters of Northern Europe with an almost prophetic insight. The dowry had not merely enriched Norway, it had integrated its very economic and political future into the vast whispering network of the Hanseatic League, all in the name of a princess's dowry